Hi everybody, and this week's Scoop brings the conversation from two of the industry's important conferences and conventions to you. But before we get into that, let's congratulate our 2025 Evolutionary Award winners. A special congrats to Alex Forbes, Paragon, Glacier by Sanlam, 10X, Motswedi Economic Transformation Specialists, and Assisa. Congrats from the whole team at EBNet on your wonderful, wonderful recognition from the participants and the attendees of this year's EBNet Evolutionaries Conference. But for us, it's not just about the winners. The whole competition is structured and is there to facilitate a conversation and a collaboration in our industry. And if we look at the legislation, at the conduct standards, there certainly is a call for a collaborative exchange to not only identify the problems, but to also solution as a community for the betterment of the average South African and the purse and the budget of the South African saver. So congrats to them. Thank you to everybody who entered this year. We will still be talking about this into the new year as well as we profile some of the thinking and how it links in with some of the challenges that have been identified and unpacked, in fact, in this last week. Before I get into that news, other news this week was the appointment of our new pension funds adjudicator. Congrats to Lebogang Mogashoa, who will open and start his office on the 8th of December. So I'm looking forward to chatting to him in the near future. I think the conversation in the last week, as I've sat through the conferences, and in fact am still sitting in the Actuarial Society's conference, I'm sharing some of the vibe with you, and it's certainly actuaries can have fun. You can't see it, but some of them are playing virtual paddle, kind of just over my left shoulder. Some of them are playing chess, and it really is a vibe here. But let's start with the Financial Planning Institute's conference. The conversation really was around humans and the human touch in financial advice. And the inference is obvious. AI is a thing. And certainly was mentioned and raised in every session that I attended. So in this world of AI, is there still a role for a financial advisor? And the answer is a resounding yes. If I listen to Nicola Langridge, who is the 2025 Financial Planner of the Year, congrats goes to her. If I listen to her talk about the art of storytelling, it certainly brings home the point that before I'm willing to share my very personal and private financial affairs with an individual, I need to trust them. And storytelling is certainly one of those ways. If I think about my own personal situation, the person I was sitting with when I heard the news that my mother had passed away was in fact her financial planner. And to be part of that profound moment in my life and in my family's life must have required a level of personal strength and personal connection that not every advisor who you're dealing with needs to have. Certainly your plumber, if he comes to fix your shower, he's not worrying about your family life or your family story. And so weaving these stories into our advice, into our personal stories is important and does create a link. It brings me to the next conversation that happened at the FPI conference, and that was around finfluencers. Now, Catherine Gibson from the FSCA was very resolute in saying that the FSCA will not be regulating finfluencers, but if they ever were, they would do so softly. But finfluencers are a thing. And I guess the question and the challenge is around how valid, how appropriate, how professional, how qualified are these finfluencers in guiding and directing financial decisions. We know specifically of young people, but certainly of all people. Links into the AI conversation, right? And so finfluencing was a topic of conversation, and certainly the skills around being able to be online, be able to direct thinking were unpacked. Now, it sounds ironic because I'm actually busy doing that right now, sitting and engaging with you on a social media platform. And certainly the skill around it is scary, not going to lie. And my editors will tell you that the first few were less than perfect and required a lot of refinement. Even this one with my umming and ahhing, I'm telling myself I sound stupid. But the reality is that we are all human, and an authentic message certainly will help us in the financial advice community to get our product and our advice across to people who desperately need it.
Hi, you pals. Greetings from Sammy. EBNet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Share this video with others you think will benefit from it. And give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBNet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za. Ciao, ciao, and bye-bye.
The other factor and element that was discussed at FPI was around the aspect of holistic financial planning. I think the days of product pushing I only sell life insurance over the telephone are over, and thank goodness are well behind us. But really more a professional service around the 6-step financial planning process, delivering a holistic plan to the individual and a comprehensive solution to what they want their lives to look like. And that was certainly unpacked in the sessions. I do encourage you to go and read my 2 articles, one from day 1, one from day 2 of that conference. You can catch those on www.ebnet.co.za and see what the granular details were behind those conversations. The second convention is obviously right now I'm sitting at ASA. There's a break in the sessions and I'm using the opportunity to take care of some work for you guys. The conversation at ASA is a good one. I'm thinking specifically of the opening address by Jeremy Gardner from 91, and not to spoiler alert, but he positions South Africa in a magnificent, positive light, and I want to say a cautiously optimistic way in terms of the opportunities that are presenting ourselves to take this conversation forward. If we look at where we are in terms of the investment markets for 2025, our recent removal from the grey list, the B20 and G20 which are coming, our sports achievements, all of these talk to a position or a country that feels like we're on the brink of something awesome. And I love the way that Jeremy Gardner finished his conversation by asking, would you rather buy a flat in Sea Point or a flat in London? And you can go and read the rest on my article from day 1, again at www.ebnet.co.za, and see what he was referring to. But it is an interesting question. Day 2 deals more with retirement matters, specifically ESG and impact investing, hybrid annuities and the costing thereof, the 2-pot system. Again, you can go catch my highlights. But I think one of the sessions that really struck me was that on mental health, and the impact on mental health, on product pricing, on saving for retirement, on ensuring yourself, ensuring your well-being, your family. It really is a bigger story than I thought it was. And mental health, not just in South Africa, but around the world, is shaping the narrative and shaping the conversation. So if you think it doesn't apply to you, think again. Because whatever role you fill in our industry, this will impact your advice and it will impact your pricing and your product design. I think if we look at EBNet Stream, there's also a lot of content there that will bring you up to speed with the latest conversations. We dropped the latest episode of Living Markets with Liberty. obviously with the rollover of a new month, Leon had a chat with John, and their conversation deals with the history on asset management. And between you and me, we all know that Leon is far more boring than me, and history is boring. But he tries to make it interesting, right? And we'll give him credit for that, for trying. But jokes aside, go and have a listen to the history of our industry, of the asset management industry, and what we can learn from that. The other important discussion is the latest episode of Power Plays and Paydays. And it's an interesting one on tenderpreneurs. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but tenderpreneurs and the impact that they have had on legitimate businesses that are trying to grow, trying to establish themselves, and trying to provide jobs for South Africans. And a great episode that I encourage you to go watch on EBNet Stream, which you can catch either through our website or on our dedicated LinkedIn channel or page. So please go look at those. Our exec meet and greet, David Herford from Fairheads, I forgot that for a minute, from Fairheads Benefit Services. David shares his socialistic tendencies, and in my opinion, not his words, my words, that really positions him for a role in an organization in our environment that performs such an important function, the looking after beneficiaries and families when a breadwinner or an income earner passes away. It's a great conversation, so take a moment and go check that out. Other news this week, we saw the Revenue Laws Amendment Bill being approved by the National Assembly, so is now with the President for signature, and that's the one that kind of makes two-part, that kind of enacts two-part and makes it possible in our legislative infrastructure. But I think the important conversation there is around whether retirement fund members will be allowed access to their retirement pots in situations of severe financial distress, particularly retrenchment. And so that is a conversation that seems to be back on the radar. It will require some significant work, and yeah, so you know, it is a conversation. I know a lot of you, when I speak to you, a lot of you are talking about it and are wanting some resolution to that. Anyway, I'm going over. So the last thing, I'm going to wrap up here at ASA and enjoy the vibe. Maybe go and have a cup of coffee with my face printed on it, which is quite cool. But as we look forward, right, B20 followed by G20, I'm sure that is going to dominate our news in the weeks to come. As those start, I think the B20 starts on the 18th of November. I'm sure that will be dominating our news, and I'm looking forward to bringing you those stories. So until next week, keep well.